Okay, and welcome to tonight's shir. Tonight is Daf Gimel in Sukkah. I'm sure you all enjoyed my first shir. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're returning. Shmuel, I just saw that you had a bag of Doritos. How were those Doritos?
Thank you. It was very, very crunchy.
Crunchy Doritos?
Very crunchy. We're in Israel. The Doritos are badatz.
Kosher over here. Yeah. Unfortunately, in America, during the Super Bowl commercials, they don't advertise the kosher Doritos here in Israel. They'd obviously make a lot more money. Yeah, they pay $1 million for those slots. All right, we're going to start from the bottom of Daf Beis Amud Beis. The Gemara had three different opinions to modify our three different shitas on Beis Amud Aleph. What's machlokes Yehuda and the Rabbanan? And the Rabbi Yehuda says you can have a sukkah that's even lamala me'esr mama, and the Rabbanan say only until esr mama. And one of the distinctions was that the Rabbanan would agree that if the tfanos of the walls reach the schach, then it could be lamala me'esr mamos. The other two Amoraim said that the sukkah was either bigger than 7 tvachim or bigger than 4 amos, and the Rabbanan also would agree that the sukkah could be lamala me'esr mamos. The Gemara brought a brisa on the bottom of Beis Amud Beis, which is challenging. Now we're going to finish the brisa and bring the question. So the Gemara finishes off the question from the brisa, the third line from the bottom on Beis Amud Beis. According to the first opinion of Yoshia, who says what? Rabbi Yoshia says that the machlokes is whether when the walls don't reach the schach. If the walls reach the schach, then the Rabbanan will be modeh. You can say machlokes darka. You could say that make the Okimta, this whole situation with Hilni Amalka was talking about a queen, and a queen, Mishum Avira, the Gemara says on top of Gilmul Aleph, because of having air come into the sukkah, they wanted to have the walls which they shouldn't reach the schach. According to the Mandamar, it says that we're talking about a sukkah ketana. The second two Manda Amrim. That's the machlokes Yehuda and the Rabbanan. The chidarcha shel machal eishay b'sukkah k'tan. Is a queen going to sit in a sukkah that's 4 amos or less, or even 7 tvachim or less? Amar Rab bar Ravad lo nishrach el sukkah hasuya kitonios. It is a small sukkah, but there were small compartments in the sukkah, small cubicles, and they were each 4 amos or less. The Gemara says chidarcha shel machal eishay b'sukkah hasuya kitonios. Right? It's not the way for her to sit even in a sukkah that's made into cubicles. She has to have her escorts with her security guards. There's this guy on YouTube, Mr. Beast. He goes around with his security guard. You heard of Mr. Beast?
No, I don't think I'd like to meet this Mr. Beast.
He has something like 64 million subscribers.
Really?
Yeah. I have 27. So
27 million?
27.
Oh.
We'll get to 1 million in a couple of days.
Maybe show yourself Rabbi Beast.
Rabbi Beast? I'm the Rebel. If you didn't know, if you didn't see it in my videos, I'm called the Rebel, short for Ben Sion Lang, also the Rebel.
Good. That's good, Rebel.
I try to make that a little cute and obvious, but I'm the Rebel. So the Gemara says, we're talking about where this queen Hilni Amalka, she sat in a cubicle 4 amos or less, and the rest of the sukkah was a big sukkah where her kids sat. So the Gemara explains the machlokes. Rabbanan sari whenever sukkah ma'al yavu yasir. The Rabbanan hold the case was her children who were mechuyev and chinuch, some of them, they were sitting in the big sukkah, so therefore they were yotzei. The Rabbanan had no problem with that. And therefore, even though the sukkah was higher than 20 amos, it was okay because it was bigger than 4 amos, the place where the kids were sitting. She was sitting in the one that was 4 amos or less because of tznius, just for privacy. Yehuda said, and that's why no one said anything to her. Yehuda holds that you could be over 20 amos even if it's 4 amos or less. Her children were sitting next to her, 7 kids within 4 amos, and therefore they didn't say anything. So it's a proof to Rabbi Yehuda that her kids, they were chayiv and chinuch, and still the Rabbanan said nothing to her, even though it was a malam esr mama. So therefore, it would work out according to that second man, the Amar on Beis Amud Aleph, Beis Amud Beis. Now the question is, Rashi asks over here. He says, according to the third mandamar, who says the machlokes is talking about a sukkah that was 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim. Is it possible that she had 7 kids in 7 tvachim? Hard to believe, right? 7 kids in 7 tvachim.
Right.
What do you say to that, Shmuel? It's a good question, right? Rashi asks this question.
It's a good question.
It's a very good question.
What do you say? Well,
kids were smaller back then. People grew.
maybe
right?
maybe the shurim, the tvachim were bigger. Like
Nah.
tvachim were really big back then.
That's a good question, but the real answer is that it's a proof, because we said before that the Gemara said the third man, the Amar, we try to modify the machlokas in the Mishnah, is the lo kaman, the Gemara says, and Tosfos says because Lul Shal Tarnagolin. That was his reasoning, but the lo kaman, and the reason is the lo kaman, based on his brisa, there's no way of explaining this brisa according to him, because it's impossible to say. We would say that 7 kids would sit in 7 tvachim. It's a proof to that.
Okay, this is a little complicated tomorrow.
The next Gemara?
No, this one we just mentioned.
It's a little complicated.
Okay.
Listen, you get to Yevamos. It's much
right.
easier, Yevamos, you just breeze through, right? All those
I'm
charts.
getting trouble with Sukkah.
Sukkah's good. Sukkah's easy. Sukkah's a breeze.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
This is okay. Any indication? Okay, let's continue. Maybe
Okay.
we'll get more into it.
The Gemara continues. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak, halacha sricha shnei machzekas rosha rubo v'shulchano. The halacha is that a sukkah has to be the size of rosha rubo shulchano, the size to fit your head, most of your body, and a small shulchan in there, which the Gemara said, the poskim say is 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim. Amalei Rabbi Abba Keman. Beit Shammai, Rabbi Abba said to him, who do you hold, like Beit Shammai? Like Beit Hillel argues on that. They say, the Gemara is going to say later, 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim. You don't need to have a shulchan in there. Amalei Ela Keman. Who else? He said back to them, who else are you going to hold like? Meaning the halacha here is like Beit Shammai. Another way of saying this, Amar Rabbi Abba, the Amar Lechamani. Rabbi Abba said to him, to Shmuel bar Yitzchak, who told you this? Amar Le Beit Shammai. It's Beit Shammai. It says Machzekas Rosh Ruv Shulchano. He below tells us, don't move from it. We pass like Beit Shammai over here, even though we normally don't pass like Beit Shammai. Here we do. Mascular of Nachman bar Yitzchak. We might do Beit Shammai. It's Hillel b'Sukkah Ktana Pligi. How do you know they're talking about the machlokes is by a small sukkah, a sukkah of 6 tvachim or 7 tvachim, how big it has to be. Dealing with sukkah gdola pligi. Maybe they have a different machlokes by a big sukkah. Could go in the Yosef Akuma de Matulta, where it's going to be based on the Mishnah. The Gemara is going to bring it in a couple of lines, where a person, in the case is he's sitting in a very big sukkah, but he's sitting on the edge of the sukkah, and his table for some reason is inside the house. The shulchano b'socha bayis. He's eating from a table which is inside the house. Beit Shammai savri gazrin shema yimashich acha shulchano. Beit Shammai says they're worried you might come, if you eat from a table inside your house, you might come to take your body and put it in your house and eat when most of your body's in your house. And there you'll be eating outside the sukkah, which is a problem. It's a bittul of a mitzvah's essay. But Beit Hillel savri lo gazrin. Beit Hillel says we're not concerned. That you could eat in this fashion where your shulchan is in the house. V'daikanami, this is actually very mistaber. It's proven like this. This is the Mishnah on Daf Chavches. Beit Shammai posting v'yitzol machshirin. V'misa machzekas ve'ina machzekas mibai. The after machlokes was whether the size of the sukkah, the minimum share for a sukkah, it should have said machlokes Beit Shammai how much is it machzik, how much does it hold? The fact that it says Mishahaya Rosh Rubo Shulchano B'Zoch Bayis, it sounds like it's like a scenario we're talking about where it was a big sukkah, but he was sitting in a fashion where half of his shulchan was in the house. The Gemara said was Sukkah Tana lo pligi that Beit Shammai held on machlokes by Sukkah Tana v'Atanya machzekas Rosh Rubo Shulchano Kshera. Rebbe Omer Ad Sheheba Arba Amos Al Arba Amos. So machlokes and a brisa, whether the Rebbe says you need 4 amos by 4 amos, and the Rabbanan say you need Rosh Rubo V'Shulchano, Tiny Idach, a different price. The Rebbe Omer Kol Sukkah She'em Ba Arba Amos Al Arba Amos Psula, like Rebbe Shita. The Chacham Omer Mafilu Eina Machzekas El Rosh Rubo Kshera. They don't say Shulchano. Vilu Shulchano Lo Kasani. It doesn't say Shulchano. Kashna Adadi. How do you resolve these 2 brises? One brisa says you need the Shulchan, and one brisa says you don't need the Shulchan. El Alav Shmamina Ha Beit Shammai Ha Beit Hillel. Must say that the one that says you need your shulchan, the shear of 7 by 7 tvachim is Beit Shammai with your shulchan. Beit Hillel says 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim. Amar Zushra Masisa Nami Daika. Our Mishnah is also, the Mishnah on Chav Ches is meduyik like this understanding. They're arguing at Sukkah Tana, Megagasani, Beishamai posting, we still machshir in it. The Lashon of Psul and machshir sounds like it's going on the Sukkah, whether the Sukkah is Kosher Sukkah or Apostle Sukkah. If it's talking about a Sukkah Gedola, they should be talking about whether you're Yotzi the mitzvah or not Yotzi the mitzvah. According to Beit Shammai, you wouldn't be Yotzi the mitzvah. They tell you would be Yotzi the mitzvah. Ela kasha mishahaya. But what are you going to do with the first part of the Mishnah? It says mishahaya. It sounds like they are talking about a Sukkah Gedola, a big Sukkah. The Olam V'tarti Pligi. The Gemara resolves this. We're taught they have two machlokas. Pligi b'Sukkah Ktana, Pligi b'Sukkah Gedola. They argue on a big sukkah and argue on a small sukkah. The Mishnah is missing words. This is how you read it. Mishahaya rosha b'Sukkah, v'shulchan b'Sukkah bias. Like talking about a Sukkah Gedola. V'shamim lo yatsa, v'yitzil yatsa. We added in the word yatsa and lo yatsa. And now we'll add in more words. If it's only holds your head and most of your body, then Beit Shammai passes, and Beis Hillel says it's kosher. So it's two machlokas. They argue about Sukkah K'tana and Sukkah Gedola. Are these machlokas related or not? What do you think?
That's a good question.
So machlokas are showing him.
Wow.
Brings me back to my Shar Yoshev days when I learned this the first time. I'll tell you a cute story. My first time I was in Shar Yoshev, I was 24 years old. And they all asked me what I was doing in Shar Yoshev. I came from, Freeman's Yeshiva in Israel. It was close to where I lived in West Amsterdam. My parents were. I was doing it for dating, whatever. But the Rosh Yeshiva of Naftali Yeager, he never gave me a formal bechina, but so I went over to him and I figured I'll tell him, prove to him, show him what I know. So I gave him a whole shtickle Torah about this sugya, about whether it's machlo, whether these machlokas are related or not. It's the Malchus Rishonim, the Rif and the Ramban, I think. After I was done my shtickle Torah, it took me about 5-10 minutes to say it. Yeager's like, go to the gym and play some basketball. No, he didn't say that. He really didn't say that. He should have said that to me, and I did play a lot of basketball there. But he said to me, "We'll have to look into it. We'll have to see." I don't know. It's a pretty bland answer, but whatever. I wanted him to either rip into me or tell me, "Bensi, great shot. Join my shir." I did join his shir eventually, but I didn't understand too much was going on. It was a little above my head, but that was my first experience.
He's a big Talmud Chacham.
Yeah, he's a big rabbi.
Yeah, Rabbi Machshava.
Yeah, he's a good dancer. That's what they say about him. Dances well at weddings. I'm a better.
He's a Chaim Berlin. Chaim Berlin, they dance. They dance by Chaim Berlin. They know how to dance.
Is that where? Yeah, he's from Chaim Berlin.
Is he a Chaim Berlin? I don't know.
I know his father-in-law, Freifeld, was from Chaim Berlin. He was a big Talmud of Hutner.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Let's continue.
Also knows how to dance nicely.
You ever see me dance?
Oh, you dance also?
You have to see me dance.
What do you do?
My Lag BaOmer video, I danced
wow.
a little bit, but I know how to dance better than that. I have some videos of me dancing, whatever.
Really?
You didn't see the full repertoire, as they say. Spell repertoire. Can't. All right. All right, let's go on. Montana lahad Tana Rabbanon. And we have a new brayisa bayish ein bo arba amos patr min mezuzah when I'm making. And I'm going to say certain halachas. If the house is not 4 amos by 4 amos, there's certain halachas don't apply. Patr min mezuzah. You don't have to put a mezuzah on that house. So min amaika. You don't have to put a fence around the roof so people shouldn't fall. But it doesn't. A house can get nagaim, can get saras, but a house that's less than 4 by 4 can't get saras. We know nechla bate arichoma. Bate arichoma is a case where you sell a house in a walled city, so you have 12 months to buy it back. If you don't buy it back within 12 months, you lose out on it forever. You can't redeem it anymore. That doesn't apply to a house that's less than 4 by 4. The halacha is when you go out to war, if you built a house and you haven't used it yet, you have a mechanech bias. You'll have to go back from the war. If it's less than 4 by 4, it's not considered a bias to go back. People who are contributing to the Erev or the Shitufim Abuos, if their house is less than 4 amos by 4 amos, they don't have to worry about being mitzari. And other people who are making the Erev, they can't put their Erev in the person's house that's less than 4 by 4. The Ein Osin also Ibra Mishayaros is talking about. Normally, you have a tchum is you can walk 2,000 amos out of your city. where's the edge of your city. So they made an e-board. They made like a pregnant lady. They made an extension of 70 by 2/3, 70 and 2/3 amot outside a city. If you have two cities next to each other, so each one is 70 and 2/3 amots from the edge of one, and you count 70 and 2/3 amots from the edge of the other, and they meet in the middle, and it's exactly 141 and 1/3 amos. They exactly meet each other, but they don't overlap. If they were to overlap, they'd be one city. You can walk to the next city and 2,000 amos after that. If they don't overlap, so then if you have a house in between them, so that could join the two cities. But if the house is less than 4 by 4, then it doesn't join them.
Wow, that's good. You know all those numbers and everything.
Listen, I actually failed out of calculus, so I was a great math student, but calculus got 65. I think when I'm a professor, I did well in like a math competition. My professor, he was shocked. He said, "This kid's flunking out of calculus." I was happy. I took the AP and I got out of calculus in college. Calculus, oh gosh, math. You need to know calculus for what? For what? For what? All right.
I want to ask you.
Listen, maybe if you're like, what is it, actuary or something like that, Google has data, but otherwise, I don't know.
Actuary, isn't all those people who, what are they? Isn't that a person who like takes care of dead people?
No, they find out risk. They provide risks for businesses and information technology. They tell you all the insurance companies what the risk's going to be. They calculate all these risks, how likely the person to die or not. How likely the person to get in a car accident, home to burn, all those fun things.
Really?
In a house, the Gemara thinks at this point that brothers and shutvim, normally they can force each other to split a property. If the house is less than 4 by 4, you can't force a split. Lema Rebbe he below Rabban. Say, this previous brisa is Rebbe, who holds that Sukkah has to be 4 amos by 4 amos, not Rabbanan who say it could be less. I feel the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan can agree to this price that really you need 4. Normally, other halachas you need 4 amos by 4 amos. Ad kan lo kami Rabbanan hasam el linyan sukkah the diras arahi. By sukkah is a halacha it's diras arahi. You're supposed to be a temporary sukkah like Rabbi said on Daf Beis. Avagavi bayis is diras kvahu. Bayis with these other sukkah. Most of these other sukkahs say the word bayis. It needs the diras kvahu, permanent structure. I feel Rabbanan modu the ispe dalar amos diary beinshi below lo diary beinshi. People only live in a house if it's built in a permanent fashion, and therefore if it's not dollar by dollar, that's not considered a permanent structure, and the Rabbanan would say these halachas don't apply. It could even be according to the Rabbanan. Amar Mars. Now we're going to explain the brisa. Patrim min mezuzah min amaykev ein matam min agoyim min onechla b'batei arichoma vein chozun lav morach melchama. My time. And what's the reason for all these 5 halachas? The bias ksiv b'chulu. It says the word in the Torah by all these halachas is the word bias. Bias has to be a permanent structure. These are halachas derabbanan. My time. The reason is because it's not fit to live in these places. For the example of putting the Erev there, the place you put the Erev has to be like the place where everyone's living. It's less than 4 by 4. No one's going to live in a place less than 4 by 4. And you don't have to contribute if you have a house less than 4 by 4. You don't have to contribute to the Erev or to the Shituv Mavuos, because you're not considered Rosh Hashanah. You're like nothing over there. You're just batel to the Chatzer, or batel to the Mavli. Eruv Chatzeros eminichin bo, aval shituf menichin bo. It says you can't put an Eruv Chatzeros in one of these houses, these small houses, but a shituf mavus you could. But my time, logarim Chatzer shomabu. That's halacha by mavus that even as long as it's in the Chatzer, a mavu, even if it's in one of the Chatzeros, doesn't have to be Rosh Hashanah. It's good enough. This not what's the proof for this? Not the Mishnah says shituf mavui b'mavui. We asked the question. How could that make sense? This Mishnah someone who puts their eruv for the Eruv Chatzeros in a Beishar. Beishar is a place where the guard is and sits outside the house. Or Achsadra is a portico. I think the article says it's like we have a roof but no walls in front of the house. Merpeses, you know what a merpeses is? You have a merpeses in your apartment? Yes. Here in Israel, merpeset is your porch. You have a merpeset?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
yes,
I think the article is a gallery. It's like
gallery.
a common porch that they all went down.
Gallery? What's
the street with? I don't know exactly, but a merpeset is a merpeset here in Israel.
Right.
So if you have one of those things, it's not considered to be a living space. So you can't put it, if you put it in the chutzner, that's like a public area. It's like putting in a Beishar Sajim or Pesas. You put in one of the houses in the chutzner. This house, which is less than 4x4, is at least chutzner shemavoy. It's not worse than that. It can't become to join two cities together. If you look at Borgin, even like a hut, a borgin is like a small hut that you could extend a city, even though it's a temporary thing made out of leaves or branches or something like that hunters used to stay in my time. A borgin chazil milsayu. They're made to sleep in there for one night. But here, a house less than 4x4 is meant for it to be permanent. Less than 4x4 is not going to be used permanently, so therefore it's nothing. Both time with the leis bei dalet amos. The reason is because you don't have dalet amos. If the house was 4 amos cholkin, is that possible? Not in cholkin as a chatzar. You have to have 8 amos. You have to have, if you want to split it, you have to have 4 amos, at least 4 amos for each of them. What the Brisa meant, there's no din of chaluka like a chatzar. What's that halacha? The Amar of Huna chatzar l'fi Succah mischalekas. It's machlokes. Let's say you have 2 brothers or 2 shutfim, and they have one big house and you have 3 small houses. Let's say that's the way the article explains it. So you have the one brother takes the big house and one brother takes 3 small houses. So how much do they get in the chutzner? The chutzner was the area, the courtyard in front of the houses, the front lawn. Let's say, whatever. I don't know if it was a duplex. They share a front yard. How much do you get? So the halacha is, Rav Huna says you get it l'fi psachim. So therefore, you have the person who owns the 3 small houses gets 3/4 of the chutzner. Rav Chisa says each Pesach gets 4 amos in front of it in order to unload packages, let's say, and the rest you divide up. You divide up based on property, meaning the one who has the big house. Splits with the other one. Tahani mili bias l'mehevi kai yehivna leichatzer. Hi, the Mr. Kai lo yavina leichatzer. There, a house normally, when it's 4x4, so it's going to remain standing. You're going to live in there. So therefore, then you would you give the house a deer that's 4x4. You would give it either l'fi Succah or l'fi the chutzner. You give it in the chutzner. Mr. Kai lo yavina leichatzer. But if the person who has a small house has a house that's less than 4 amos by 4 amos, even Rav Huna would agree that you wouldn't get anything for that house because it's on the verge of being destroyed. That will conclude tonight's shir. Shmuel, what's the WhatsApp rating for this shir?
Yeah.
How many stars do you give this shir?
Oh, the stars.
Yeah.
I say it's in the 4 range.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any comments you have to say about the shir? Any questions or comments?
Oh,
I want people to leave comments. I want them to listen to the shir, leave their comments. I'm going to reply to some of these comments. I'm telling you, leave your comments. I really want to hear what you have to say. If you like something I said, if you disagree with something I said, if you correct something I said, I want to hear it. Shmuel, give me a comment on tonight's shir. You can give an opinion. You can say,
what was that? What type of shir was that? You just read the Gemara. I mean, everyone could do that. You could just read the Gemara. I mean,
I didn't make any jokes. No jokes. I had that story about Shar Yashuv.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
I said I'm not a comedian. It's a vlog. Vlogs aren't comedians necessarily.
No?
You don't know what a vlog is either. You have no idea what a vlog. Shmuel, show him your shirt. Let me see your fancy shirt. He has a fancy shirt. Show him.
Thank you. Okay.
So what brand is this shirt?
And it's from England. It's a hand-me-down from...
Hand-me-down? From who?
Somebody in my relatives in England.
What brand is it?
English brand.
Charles T. Ritt? What is it? No, that's a famous one from England. Jermyn Street. I used to have some of those shirts.
Well, you're a fancy guy. You're a very good dresser.
I'm a good dresser. All right.
You have fancy glasses.
Enjoy. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.